Sparkle, Shirley.
Well, the lights went out in D.C. town. The circus packed up, the clowns shut down. No checks, no meds, no DMVQ, just me and my guitar, singing the government shutdown blues.
Oh.
Now gather round my MAGA crew. I got a tale that's half fake, half true. I say the illegals got free healthcare snacks while grandma's stuck eating expired Tic Tacs. Don't trust your eyes, don't trust the news, just trust this song and your government shutdown blues. See, my MAGA hats are tapping toes, saying shut it down, that's how freedom grows. But while you cheer and wave your flags, the VA's closed and the food stamps lag. I say Democrats give Medicaid to aliens, but your cousin Joe can't afford his inhaler again. So sad. Shut down. Shut up. Lie, 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 oh lie. So sad. The parks are all closed, the trash piling high, and a bald eagle somewhere has a tear in its eye. Say those Dems wanna give all the free stuff away, Medicaid and Obamacare for the whole USA. Now I met a man named Billy Ray, said I voted red, now I can't get paid. His job's on hold, his rent's past due, but he's proud as punch in his MAGA shoes. He said I don't need no welfare check, just give me a flag and a pickup truck. And Sally Mae, she's got 3 kids, works 2 jobs and she's on the skids. She said they shut down school lunch again, but at least we're sticking it to the deep state man. She's got no Wi-Fi, no heat, no clue, but she's humming along to the shutdown blues. So sad. Shut down. Shut up. Lie, 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 oh lie. So sad. I said don't listen to fact checkers, son, they're just liberal trannies who've had too much sun. Who you gonna trust? I cry with pride, me or your lying eyes that watched Medicaid die. So if you're cold, broke, and out of luck, just grab a red hat and a pickup truck. Wave a sign that says shut it all down while your insulin rolls on Capitol grounds. And before you all start to mew and to pout, check under your seats and you'll find out there's no health care for you or you or you, not your family or brother or even Uncle Stu. So sad. Shut down. Shut up. Lie, 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 all lies. So sad. So sad. Shut down. Shut up. Lie, 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 all lies. So sad.
Oh, Cracker Barrel Trump.
Hello, my darling.
Hello, my dear friend. Part of me
That's
wanted to
all.
laugh at that, and part of me just wanted to cry listening to those lyrics.
Well, that's how brainwashing works, is that even if somebody is homeless and can't get health care, they're still going to hold on to the dream because they've been sold the dream, right?
Right, exactly. It's like those memes you see about people living in shacks going, well, he's just like us. Oh, that's why we sided with Trump, or what Bette Midler said, and I'll try to clean up the language a little. She said, folks, the man takes a crap in a gold toilet. That wasn't the actual language she used, but
Oh, dear.
yeah.
Well, how has your week been? What you eating, what you drinking, Chuck?
Well, I just had a cup of espresso, more specifically a
my.
cappuccino.
Do you have an
Uh,
espresso machine in your
I
home?
do. I do. It's
He's so
my
spoiled. You have no idea. Anybody who's worried about Chuck, don't be. He's living his best life. He's
well.
getting an all expense paid trip to Italy as soon as he can pick the dates. And he's got an espresso machine in his home.
Well,
So,
a simple espresso machine, but I
oh,
do have
give me a
one. But
break. I don't have an espresso machine, but I'm happy for you. I'm happy for
you
you.
don't have a mocha pot, even?
Oh, good God.
Okay.
Guess what I'm
Anyway,
drinking?
chamomile tea.
There's a reason why I asked him this, of course. It always comes
Of
back to
course, there's a
me.
reason. Is it lemon balm or is it chamomile today?
Now, I have, excuse me, I have moved away from chamomile, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I am becoming an urban shaman.
Yes, you are.
I'm an urban shaman, people. That's what I'd
I
like to be
love
called from
I
now on.
loved listening to you Tuesday on the show as you just lovingly talked about your herbs. And I said to you, I see the same inner peace and soulfulness that when you have your violin. That's the way you are with your herbs. You love this so very much.
Yeah, so I'm doing lemon balm and I put some ginger and honey and lemon in it.
Oh, that sounds good.
Hmm.
I
And
love ginger and honey.
of course, that is for stress.
Yeah.
Lemon balm.
Is that why you're so calm, Whimsy?
Well, I contacted a doctor
Uh-huh.
about my anxiety issues because I have a lot of social anxiety. And
Mhm.
when you and I do this for a living, this is what we get paid to do. It can
Right.
be very stressful sometimes.
Well, sometimes, yes. But you're just like me though. Once you get in front of the camera, everything disappears and you just feel calm and centered because we're with our friends. Everybody out there, we've got
Yeah.
so much beautiful support for us, and this feels like such a right place to be. But yeah, I'll admit sometimes when I'm getting ready for the show and I'm combing through all the news stories and everything and writing a lot of notes, I'll get some anxiety.
Yeah. So I contacted a doctor and talked about our symptoms. And the thing I
Mhm.
noticed is that everything he had was a drug. Well, you can do a benzodiazepine, you
Mhm.
can. And I thought, well, I'm a naturopathic doctor. Why don't I, excuse me, just try the herbs?
Yes.
So I started with chamomile, and I was doing extremely. Hi, I'm getting over a cough. Excuse me. Um, but I was doing extremely high doses of it, and it had a profound spiritual impact on me, where I started to forgive myself for my imperfections. And I
Oh,
felt like the herb got deep into my bones and spirit and worked with me. And I received a
yes.
healing from the teacher plant chamomile. And then realized that I really didn't need to take any psych medication. I just needed to
Oops.
meditate, pray, be true to myself, and forgive my imperfections. So that was the gift of chamomile.
That is quite a gift of
Unfortunately, the
chamomile.
doctor lost his job, but
Well, let me ask you, do you think this is because you work with raw bulk herbs as opposed to things that are processed, like these ready-made tea bags we even get in the health food store? This sounds much stronger.
I've been thinking a lot about this.
Hmm.
I think that we have been sold a false bill of goods. I don't think we realize just how powerful these plants are, and that when
Yeah,
there's hundreds of chemicals inside these plants, we don't
yeah.
even understand what some of these chemical
Phytonutrients.
constituents.
Yeah,
Yes, and we don't
yeah,
know. We know what apeginine, I believe it is,
yeah.
which is found in. It's one of the things found in holy basil, which binds to serotonin receptor sites, GABA receptor sites. But that's only one chemical. There are hundreds and hundreds of chemicals
Of
inside these
course.
plants that are trying to work with us and communicate with us and teach us and heal us. And we're not hearing it. We're depressed. We're putting our head under the pillows,
Yeah.
and we're being bombarded with pharmaceuticals. But if we could just get a little bit closer to the earth,
Yeah,
spend a little bit of time in nature, do a little
that's
bit
the
of
key.
forest bathing.
It's like becoming more grounded, literally more in touch with the earth. I never thought about that with these
Yeah.
plants you're working with, literally of the earth. But I'm also wondering because you are getting these in a more natural state, it's why they're affecting you so more strongly. Because I find when I buy like chamomile tea bags in the health food store, honestly, I don't feel that much, but it could be these things were made like months ago, and a lot of the
It
properties
could be that
out of
the
them
tea
processed.
bag is probably too a low amount. I'm doing 3
Yes.
cups of very, very strong. You could double your tea bags, triple your tea bags,
Mhm.
and just make it nice and good and strong so that the chemical constituents are working. But the difference between chamomile and a drug is that chamomile, you and I are getting over the same thing.
I'm getting over it, but I'm a lot better, much better.
Is it an allergy? Because we both have it at the
Well,
same time.
sometimes I've wondered about that. One of our viewers, it might have been Joyce Petrus, who said maybe it's ragweed, something related to this
Possible,
time of year.
because I've been
Fall.
hiking a lot,
Yeah, I've been outside a lot too, and where I live, there's
and
a
I've
lot
been
of
farming a little
mountains,
bit,
a lot of
and it's that
trees, a
fall
lot of
cough that I
mountains.
get.
Yeah,
You have
because
it now too. That's
yeah,
interesting.
well, just a little bit. I'm mostly getting over it, but there's that little bit of residual drainage that
Yeah,
causes.
that's why I added honey and ginger, both of which are because I still have that little bit of the tickle. It's almost gone, but it's a little
Mhm.
bit still there. But
Sure.
what I'm finding with the Melissa, the lemon balm, is that it's making me meditate a lot on my life purpose
Mm.
and mastery and stop worrying about being a star. Just find the thing it is you love and every day work diligently on mastery.
Hmm. Well,
Whatever it
also,
is you're doing, if it's reading the tarot, if it's playing the violin.
mhm.
Do you want some of my tea, sweetie?
Oh, I'm fine, I promise you. But no, I was just going to say it's doing the things that you love. Those are some of the most empowering things possible because I think it opens up our channels. When I'm like, I love to write, I love to do my own channeling work, like with spirit guides and so forth. I love doing these shows, I love doing my artwork. All of it collectively gives me a sense of inner peace because in I'm in my purpose. I remember
Yeah.
Diane Sawyer said that once when she got the job being the anchor of ABC News. She said, I'm finally concentrated in my purpose. And I love that statement, concentrated in my purpose. And I think that's
Yeah.
what you're experiencing right now. And that's
Right.
what, because I see the peace in you right now. I'm sure our viewers do also.
Oh, wonderful.
It's quite lovely. It's very becoming to you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to do this is my second cup right now I'm on of the lemon balm. As you can see, it's extremely strong.
Yeah.
When I buy the herbs in bulk and you can try one herb at a time and connect with the herb. You may buy a living plant also so that you can sit and meditate with that plant. If you're healing deep psychological trauma, then I would switch to chamomile. If you're allergic to ragweed and those sorts of things, then you may want to try the lemon balm first, which you won't be getting that type of allergic reaction.
Right. I
But
think,
yeah, I really, you can see this is about 10, this is about 5 times more than what you would get in a
oh yeah.
regular,
Oh yeah. When you buy
because
those
how much
tea
of it.
bags, it's like
Yeah,
a
so
like a teaspoon in
I
there.
buy it in bulk. I like buy a pound in bulk, and I
Oh,
keep
you do.
it. You can buy a dark mason jars to store it in, and then just
Mhm.
start with 10 to 20 of your basic herbs that you're going to be using as part of your medicinary. But I think to be a good medium, a good healer woman, which is, I am the barefoot doctor. I resonate with that.
Yeah.
It's good to go back. I want to go back to the original and slow everything down. I've learned hundreds and hundreds of herbs, and you've seen my herbery. I mean, you've seen what I've got in my home. And
Oh, I have personally. I used to be the one who would take your bulk herbs, break them up, put them in the jars, hand
right,
write the labels, and then alphabeticalize everything. And
right. So
yeah,
now I'm at a point where I'm going back to like the first grade and just starting with the very first plant I learned about chamomile,
yeah.
eating it, drinking it, smoking it, not so much smoking it, but
I
people
was
do
just
smoke
gonna
it.
say,
But
smoking chamomile. I haven't.
yeah, chamomile
I can
cigarettes,
do that.
yeah, they do that to give up smoking.
Wow,
It's considered to be less
I'm
harsh.
intrigued.
And
Yeah.
also when you're on movie sets, people are all smoking cloves and chamomile
Lettuce
cigarettes,
cigarettes are popular
and lettuce
on movie
too.
sets.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know that they
Jane
sell
Fonda
them in.
used those.
Oh, I know they're on smoke shops,
Well, did you
and
ever
they'll be
see the?
mixed, and they'll have like lavender, chamomile,
Yeah,
and something else.
I don't know if you know the movie Julia about Lillian Hellman.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Jane Fonda had to constantly smoke throughout the movie in character as Lillian Hellman, and she said she had special cigarettes made with lettuce so she wouldn't get addicted to nicotine. She was very
Oh
concerned
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, you can do lettuce also. That's interesting. Yeah, so like I said, I started with chamomile and then studying everything I can about chamomile, which is associated with the sun
Uh-huh.
and Venus. The sun and Venus, according to Thomas Culpeper. So it brings out the sun, but it has aspects of Mercury too. It's interesting. But I'm looking at all the mythology about it. I want to look more at the uh, Eastern and African traditional use of the plant. But I worked with the plant for about a week, got some great spiritual teachings from the plant. I meditate with the plant to get the lessons of the plant. Don't mix too many herbs with the plant unless it's an assisting herb,
Hmm.
like lemon peel I have in here and a little bit of ginger, just because you and I are getting over this cough. But the main plant here, the main driver is the lemon balm. And lemon balm has been working to heal and calm me and accept my imperfections, but get back to stop worrying about being Yitzhak Perlman. And instead, I just want every day for you to focus on the spiritual benefits of pursuing mastery and excellence in your work.
Hmm. Exactly. Well, I love how you were talking about getting back to the basics. You referred to the first plant you ever learned about, almost like going back to the first grade. But I was getting a hit that this actually goes back to when you incarnated into this world. When we're in spirit form, we're in that very pure spiritual space. We have our agenda, our sacred contracts. We know what we're coming to earth for. And then we get here and we tend to forget a lot of it, or it gets convoluted and lost. I feel like you're going back to that very basic beginning of your life, why you came here in the first place. That's
Yeah,
what was coming to me.
feels that way.
And that's one of the reasons you feel such a great sense of grounded peace. You're in your true, authentic purpose. I see it in you. I've known you for what, 11, 12 years. I see the peace in you right now. It's very becoming. The other day, we did the 2 3
Wow.
show.
I didn't
I,
know that. I know that something changed in me after I
it's
had this
very
spiritual
apparent to me.
awakening with chamomile.
Not that you haven't
Wow.
always had it, but
So
it's
now Holy Basil is moving me more towards I want to be a really good vocalist. I want to do really
yeah,
good folk music, reaching out to Joel, my friend Joel, asking if he will be the musical director so we can maybe
lovely,
cut an album together.
excellent. I love hearing this, Whimsy. God,
Yeah,
you
and
sound like me. I always have all these projects.
he's
I have a
out of
whole list of
Vegas, but
things
he's moving to
I want to
Portland. I'm
do.
like, and he has a music studio set up,
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, damn, let's go.
yeah, go
Be
for it.
my musical director. Let's make this happen.
Yeah,
So,
it's
um,
like,
not because I plan on being the next Joan Baez, but because I want to experience the joy of working at mastering, the joy that comes with really striving to be
yeah,
excellent at something, whether it's the
exactly.
violin or the vocals or
You
anything
being
else.
the best Dr. Whimsy Anderson you can possibly be,
Yeah,
me being the best. Chuck, I just pursue things out of love now. I've taken a lot of pressure off myself, and it's electrifying. It's a great place to be in life. I'm so excited where I am right now. You and I both are of a certain age right now, and I have never felt younger. I
I
feel
feel
just
pretty
as
good.
excited. I feel as excited about life as I did when I was 21 years old. In fact, probably even more so, because now I
Well, you're
have the
getting a
time
lot. I
to do
happen
it.
to know you're getting a lot done.
I am getting a
So,
lot done.
all right.
That's
Well, let's go ahead and turn the camera around. Let's see who's all here, Chuck.
well.
You
Let's see.
want to say
Let's
hi to our people? Tell them
get
what
the
they're eating,
romper
drinking,
room
what you're hanging out with, what you're
mirror
doing.
here, huh? Okay, well, let me scroll back here. We have, of course, our wonderful Joel Tilson, our floor director here. We have Eleanor Wittering. We have, scroll a little further here, Intuitive Kathy. We have Contessa E. Jordan. Let's see. I'm trying to not repeat names here. Dharma Songbird. I like that name. Let's see. Contessa. We have lots of comments from Eleanor here. Junquil. Michelle. Let's see. Contessa. Tori V. Sun Moon. Teresa. Daniel.
Well,
Alexander.
we'll keep saying hi to everybody as we go along, but Chuck,
But
'cause
welcome.
look
We're
what?
happy to have you here. What do we
Look
have?
what's going on. We got a new member, Chuck. Let's sing the new member song. Dharmas Songbird, Dharmas Songbird, we welcome you. We welcome you to the Oracle of Whimsy.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
I gotta go and get myself a tambourine or something where I can join in with you.
Well, let's get on it. Let's just get right to the chase. As many of you know, the biggest news that is out right now has to do with the fact that Leticia James has been indicted. Leticia James, the DOJ has decided to indict Leticia James. This goes back to the whole idea of Trump saying that he was going to use his position of power as the president of the United States to go after his enemies. Have any feeling about that?
Well, I just keep thinking of how he has the keys to the kingdom right now. He's been handed the presidency. He can do any damn thing he wants. And I mean, damn thing. This is like people who come into a lot of money, like Michael Jackson building himself an amusement park, Barbara Streisand building herself a strip mall in the basement of her home. Trump is using it. Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of that, but here Trump has all this power and he's using it as a tool of revenge. And he said he was going to do this, and sure enough, that's what he's doing. He went after James Comey first, and now it's Leticia. I was actually heartsick. You sent me the news thing about 2 hours ago. It was the first I had heard of it, and then I watched the television news, but I just felt almost a kick in my stomach. I feel so bad for her because she's someone I really admired.
Now, what are they accusing her of exactly?
Well, let's see. She's under investigation. She's been under investigation since May of 2023 over a mortgage she took out to buy her niece a home in Norfolk, Virginia. And she took out the loan saying that the home was for her own personal use. She was going to use it as a secondary home. And apparently she or her niece rented the house out. I mean, it's small, nitpicky stuff, but that's what they're using against her right now. She lied about this, getting this. She's being charged with bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. Those are the formal charges. Do you think they went fishing and looking for something in her case? Well, of course they did. I mean, that's pretty nitpicky. And you're having to go for some little thing like that. Like I understand, Adam Schiff is on the list also. He hasn't been indicted yet, but they're going after him for something to do with property he purchased in Maryland. And I don't know the specifics, but it just sounds like little things that they had to really comb to find. But, Trump just, had his people go out and say, get anything you can get. And this is what they're using against her right now. Well, I know James Comey also. Did you look into the fact that James Comey also that had been indicted? That was pretty weird. Oh, yeah, I knew that. Wasn't it just the other day he was formally indicted? James Comey. And then now they've gone after her. And then, there are other people like Adam Schiff is on the list. I mentioned, I'm trying to think who else is on there. There's several. But it's been saying, it was John Brennan, the former CIA director. They're checking him out. Oh, for the love of God. They're going after Fannie Willis.
So they're going after people who are political pundits or people that went after.
Exactly. But they're going after Fannie Willis. She was the Fulton County, Georgia district attorney who charged Trump in accusing him of trying to overturn the 2020 election. Trump is just going after everybody he perceives to be his personal enemies, and he's weaponizing the Department of Justice to his own end. And it's been said that No president has done anything like this since Richard Nixon to this degree, and Trump has gone much, much further.
So I think the question that everybody wants to know, and it's one of the questions that I get asked a lot, and I know you probably got it asked a few times also. Do you feel, given everything that's happened, particularly with this whole thing with Leticia James, that we've gotten to a point of no return, that he has done so much damage that there's a lot of damage that's been done?
Well, that's an understatement, Whimsy. I mean, you say,
Can we come back from this? Can we come back
well,
from
when you
this?
say a lot of damage done, I assume you just mean everything that's happened this whole year,
Yeah.
or are you just referring to this? Well, I mean,
I'm talking about since Donald Trump has walked into the White House,
oh
we've seen
God, since day one.
he brings chaos, and I'm just
Yeah,
wondering if with the repeal of Roe v. Wade, the fact that women are dying now from
yeah,
things they didn't die of from before, women are afraid to get pregnant in red states.
understandably.
Babies are being dumped and thrown in trash cans in red states. This is stuff we haven't seen since the Great Depression. So, not to mention what's happening at the CDC, the Veterans Affair, I hear they're falling apart. So, I guess my question to you is, how bad do you think it is, and do you think we can come back from
Well,
this?
I saw a thing on YouTube with Pete Buttigieg. He was being interviewed. He said, even if it ended right now, it didn't go any further, it would be at least 2 or 3 generations to fix a lot of this. And a lot of it is so broken right now. Kamala Harris even used those words when she was on Stephen Colbert. Our government is just so broken right now. It's going to take a very long time, and I don't know if we'll ever get it back to the way that it was. Now, some have argued that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe, like Shiva the Destroyer, maybe it had to be broken so we can put it back together in a better way. Now, that's being overly optimistic, perhaps. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just, well, the amount of damage Trump did in just say the first 6 weeks or so in office, that alone would probably take a generation to fix.
Yeah, I don't want to think like that.
I don't like to think
And I
like
get
that.
that. I get that a lot. It's like, is it too late for America? I don't know. I don't
Well,
know how to respond to
something,
that, to be honest with
I
you.
am an optimist. I want very much to believe that we will prevail. You've been getting a lot of readings. You and I together have been getting readings that somehow we are going to prevail. This is going to get better, but we have to go through all of this first, all of this breakage, all of this damage to clear house, so to speak. And, you and I both have been feeling strongly that feminine energy has to move in. There's been too much of this masculine energy going back for centuries and centuries, and maybe this is like the last of it, and it's kicking and screaming and rebelling and being as obnoxious as it possibly can, but it has to be cleared out so that the feminine can move in.
Hmm.
And I don't mean to make
Okay.
that sound really simplistic.
Yeah. No, I think that that's exactly what I see. All
you know
right. So
Whimsy,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, because somebody was asking me on the Tuesday show, a lot of these spirits that I channel have been predominantly female, exception of maybe one. And I never questioned it. I just take it as a gift, whatever wants to channel through me. But I realize it's a lot of female energy that wants to speak, wants to be heard. And that's why it's channeling through me right now. That's a theory I have. I did some meditation on this because I wanted to address that question a little better on the show
Yeah,
today.
that women are
Sorry to
closer to
interrupt
the
you.
earth.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you can develop a relationship with those who have passed over. That this is something that's talked about in many African traditions, is this idea that lighting a candle for your beloved, leaving gifts and things that they like at the altar, which is something that's mentioned in Shintoism and ancient shamanism, talking to the beloved on a daily basis at the ancestral altar creates a kind of vortex or a way of communicating with the other world that allows them to come into this world.
Yeah.
So if you've done that by keeping their art, I've noticed that you have many altars to many stars in your home, whether you're
I
aware of it
never,
or not.
I never think of it that way, but I suppose so.
They're close to you. They can get in. This is a portal. They need a portal with someone that genuinely likes them, that connects
Well,
with
they
them,
know
and
that
they
I
love on
love them
Earth.
and I respect them, and so I'm sure that's why they're magnetized to me to come
Yeah.
through. And I do have memorabilia in my home and personal things. Like I have a check that Marilyn Monroe wrote. I have framed on my wall, things like that. And I believe that energy is in my home, and maybe that's why they feel comfortable coming to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's because you've created fetish objects. You have specific objects in
Fetish
your home
objects.
because they're called fetish objects
Mhm,
in um, anthropology. Is an object that's believed to have supernatural powers.
mhm.
And so the fact that somebody would pay a large amount of money to own a check with this signature of Marilyn Monroe shows that it's a fetish object.
Yeah, I suppose
It's
so.
something that has power.
For me, it's just always been love, because ever since I was like 12, 13 years old, I just would devour any biography I could get, any book I could get about old Hollywood, the movies, documentaries. I was always fascinated with it, drawn to it. And so I love having personal energy in my home. I never think of it as materialism, I just think of it as energy. And I love being surrounded by it.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead without further ado. I think we're going to do the empath's prayer. If you would like to receive a healing at this time, go ahead and give us your name or the name of someone you want us to pray for, and we will include them in our prayers today. Also, we want to make an announcement while that is going on and you're giving us your names. For the prayer circle, we want to announce that we have a book of the month, which
Oh,
is Atlas, excuse me, Atlas Falling, a novel by Adam Gabriel Steinmetz.
I
Oh,
just
you have
got
the hard
mine.
copy.
I just got mine 2 hours ago. Amazon delivered to my door. I thought, great, I get to hold it up on the show.
I like the type setting on this.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
looking forward to this very much.
Yeah, me too. Okay, without further ado, we're going to do the empath's prayer and then we will blitz away. If you haven't had a chance to share, like, and subscribe to the stream, to the channel, we would be really appreciative as we march towards 100K.
Yeah, how close are we, Whimsy?
We're at 93,000, some 200.
That's great.
It's going slower than I like. We got to do something dynamic to
Well, we'll figure out something dynamic.
excite people. Yes. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those people who are requesting a healing at this time, we come together and we pray. We pray that you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together collectively, again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed.
May all souls be healed.
All right, Chuck, let's go into this. Let's see what the questions are.
Let's see here.
Say hi to Joel Tilson, the official floor director for our show. Joel Tilson writes, the Russian stock market crashes today due to a fuel shortage. How are you feeling about that? Does this go back to what we've said about the natural phases of the war and that it was inevitable that Putin would have to fall? It's kind of a shame that it got to this point, but because I had been hoping that we could have avoided the science, but that was the science. This was something that Grok, as you guys know, I do use Grok. I know one of the investors was Elon Musk. But what Grok does is Grok takes all the data, every book ever written, every fact it can get on the news, and then I worked with it. This was December 21st, 2023, and this was what it said, because I had been one of the people to write a peace proposal. Thousands of people have, and I do believe that I'm hoping part of that will be used. But they said that this is how it'll most likely go down. So we have that ceasefire going on in Gaza. the exchange of hostages with Hamas terrorists who are going to be released, some of whom are homicidal killers. Then we have the rebuild beginning, and that's going to be invested by multiple countries. It's a for-profit rebuild. But what's interesting is that phase 4 coming up right after that, right behind, is Putin getting taken out, which would be the fall of Russia, basically, at that point, don't you think?
Yeah. We've been talking about this for quite a while now. So it just seems like it's a logical
Yeah.
thing. Things are just falling into place.
Yeah, and this, I had a feeling this was what I was seeing. So I did, I meditated. I used heart-centered remote viewing. I was working on a dissertation on the rebuild of Gaza because I'm a medical anthropologist, a cultural anthropologist, and I'd been looking at conflict resolution and how tribes come together, like the Inuit in Greenland that absorbed other tribes through integration. So I'd spent a lot of years on this, but
I know you did your life's work in many
yeah.
ways.
So I put the data into the computer, and this is what the computer. This is kind of what I saw. Like, how do we get the least amount of people to die? That was really ultimately least amount of deaths calculated was what
Right.
I had worked it out with
Well,
Grok.
you were
And
coming from a very benign place, a very loving place.
yeah, but step 3 where you have the investment into Gaza, what I think people need to understand about investing in Gaza is what I had said, as hard as it is for us to hear, is that you make people Zionist when they become investors. When a person has an economic incentive to see the state of Israel to survive, they themselves are investing in it, they're going to become a Zionist. And the same is true for the Oasis. People all over the world are going to want Gaza to be stable and to be successful if the entire international or the Arab community and the UN through the Gulf states and Israel are investing in stabilizing the region for profit. So we have to accept that it's a for-profit venture, but it's a for-profit venture that the people have to be a part of.
Yeah. It's a good payoff.
Yeah,
but
because the money
ultimately-
has to come from somewhere. But the other thing is that it became increasingly obvious as we worked on this. I worked with one other person, but it became increasingly obvious that peace was never going to happen as long as Putin was in Russia.
Right.
But he was the great instigator. And was very likely one of the people that planned the October 7th attacks against Israel. And I think Israel, particularly Netanyahu, was shocked because he was under this false impression, because he had been gaslit by Vladimir Putin, that Vladimir Putin somehow liked him. And then when October 7th happened, it became unavoidable that Israel had to accept the fact that Putin was a rabid anti-Semite, that Putin can say everything he likes about having Jewish friends. The truth of the matter is he hates the Jews. He hates the Jewish state. And that's why he was involved in October 7th. So I don't think there's any way we can get to peace without isolating and removing Putin. And the computer agreed with me. The other obstacle to peace was Iranian leadership. So first comes the fall of Putin, and then comes the fall of Iranian leadership. For a couple of days, I did this over a couple of days. We thought, what if we bribe Iran and Russia? What if we just give them money not to kill people? We'll give you money not to kill the Jews. We'll give you money to, and what the data showed was that the money would be used to build up troops for Hezbollah to kill the Jews.
Really? Yeah,
so
I'm not.
You can't pay the only thing that happens pay to play, which is what Obama trying to pay them not to kill people, was that it was disastrous, and a lot of people died because of that deal, because of this naive hope that Obama had that they could be paid not to slay. And in fact, what they did was they took all the money and they built up Hezbollah and basically occupied Lebanon and Gaza in Hamas also occupying Hezbollah in the north and Hamas, both of which were funded by Iran. So the money was the money, any profits or success Iran had was being used to take over the Middle East. It wasn't just Israel they wanted to take over. They wanted to take over Jordan. They wanted to take over Syria. They already had inroads in Syria. Assad was kind of the puppet of Iran. And so that was the reason why I think it became inevitable to Arab leadership that it was not sustainable to have Iran in the picture, or Putin for that matter.
Yeah.
Any feelings you have about that?
I think you pretty much have said it there. I don't know what more I could add to that. I was wondering, when you use Grok, because Grok, most of these programs like Chat GPT, it collects all of our data every time we put something out into the world. How much of your plan do you think Grok got a hold of?
Well, I wrote my plan with Grok, and then I sent it, and then on November 21st, Jonathan Conricus, who was the spokesman for the IDF, requested a copy that he could give to the IDF War Cabinet.
Yeah.
So I had a direct contact with Jonathan Conricus on November 21st. Okay. So he had it for a couple of days, and then he said, here it is. He gave it to the War Cabinet. But the War Cabinet already had a copy of the Oasis 1 proposal, which we're building kibbutzes, basically integrated kibbutzes in Gaza. So now we don't need to take over Gaza to build these kibbutzes, because the kibbutzes are being built in no man's land, which neither group is using. And so when we see the pullout of Israel from Gaza City, Khan Yunis, etc., as part of this agreement, they're going to continue to hold on to those red areas, which are the no man's land, because that's where the kibbutzes are being built. Mm-hmm. That is where Oasis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are being built. And so that is why you'll see them pulling back to an approved designated perimeter. You also see that the meeting took place in Egypt. And the reason most likely that it took place in Egypt was because Egypt is going to most likely be renting land to the Gazan people while they rebuild. And I think that they're going to do something really great with that land as well. I don't know. What are you thinking, Chuck? Are you optimistic?
Well, I'm feeling optimistic. I get a good vibrational energy as I hear you talking about this. It just feels like there's going to be peace, a lot of peace, and a better way of living. It's going to come, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be soon.
Yeah. So here is the perimeters that we built. This is no man's land, which is a 2-mile stretch around both countries. And we also have a section that's currently under the military with Egypt, which is Oasis Sinai. So if we were to pull back Israel, I'm Israeli, and if we were to allow Egypt to help participate in policing the area in the north of Gaza, then you would have a really good chance of making this work. And you can see that the perimeter area is where we placed, so that we would not be invading on greater Gaza, but that we would be on those perimeters in areas of land not currently being used. And in fact, that is, look, what a coincidence. The same exact design that we have, the IDF.
Whimsy.
I don't know. Something strange going on there. I don't know how that happened.
In your own readings, in your own intuitive sense, how long do you realistically see this taking?
Well, there's a lot of money, and they want it, and you don't say no to people like MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, and they really want to build Oasis. So it isn't about the money. It's about the joy of knowing that they can. It's money and profits, a lot of profits for Egypt, with desperate need of work for the people of Egypt.
Exactly.
And I just think it's great if we can get an Oasis that would hire local.
It feels so promising. Even the word Oasis.
Yeah, and it's their own heritage. It's not like we're forcing. Trump wanted to do freedom zones. And
I think Trump probably wanted to build hotels with the word Trump on the front of them.
Well, I might have had something to do with this. I don't know. But when Trump was on his way to Saudi Arabia, I was worried that he and Elon Musk were not going to show him what the original design was. And the original design was Oasis, which is the same design that Mohammed bin Salman had created. So that was my concern. Let me see if I've got this right. So what I did is I wrote Mohammed bin Salman urgent letter to him through the consulate, etc. And I said, here is the original Oasis One. This is my original concept. And I fear that they are taking what's supposed to be your Bedouin heritage, which is what I'm trying to create. And I fear that that he and Elon Musk are doing something that goes against what you want to do. So this was the response.
In the world. But we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest representative. And if I didn't like...
And Elon Musk is sitting behind MBS, by the way. The guy in the suit, you can't see him fully, that's Elon.
Like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, you know? Too much. I like you too much. One of our great, great partners, no matter who we look to, and we have great partners in the world, but we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest.
So what happened during that speech is that I believe that there was some kind of a fight that happened. And I think that the fight happened because he tried to turn it into something that it wasn't. He tried to turn it into the Trump Tower, and that was not the original concept of Oasis that the Saudis had. What the Saudis and the Bedouins are trying to do is they're trying to go back to the original heritage, and the original heritage was a heritage of zones of peace and tolerance, and that it was not religious extremism at all. Rather, it was incredible tolerance. They had dancers, they had the LGBTQ community, they had entertainers, they had healers. Oasis was for everyone. It was one of the first democracies the world has ever known, and it was born of the Bedouin. And Abraham, the first Jew, was a Bedouin from Babylon who goes to Beersheba, near the Negev, and he puts his tent up, and he has many children. Some of them are Jewish, the Jewish descendants, but he also had other descendants as well, which became part of the Muslim tradition. So that is where the Arab world is at. They want to rebuild Abraham's tent, and Trump isn't getting it. Trump is not getting that. He didn't understand the culture he had walked into.
But they understand, and we're doing what a lot of smart people would do, and we're not necessarily being politically correct. You saw what we did yesterday with healthcare. We've cut our healthcare by 50 to 90%. You're going to see drugs and pharmaceuticals come down.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to get to this point.
Yeah, sure.
Where he talks about Oasis, and he basically bows and says, okay, we're going to do it your way.
Arabian Peninsula, beautiful place, by the way, beautiful place. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly 8 years ago this month, I stood in this very room and looked forward to a future in which the nations of this region would drive the forces of terrorism and extremism, drive them right out of existence, and take your place among the proudest, most prosperous, most successful nations anywhere in the world as leaders of a modern and rising Middle East. So exciting, so exciting. Mohammed, do you sleep at night? How do you sleep? Huh? Just thinking. What a job. He tosses and turns like.
Let's talk about it for a second.
Yeah.
So I gave the rebuild the Oasis, which was based on the Arab culture and the Middle Eastern culture, the Bedouin culture, which is something that the people of the Abraham Accords share. It was a gift to the Abraham. I give your heritage back to you. I return that which is yours back to you, back to these 6 zones. And in fact, we find that those 6 zones can be found in Saudi Arabia. And what closed down the original Oasis was war and extremism. So they know their history. The children of Abraham know their history, and they know where they're headed. And Trump doesn't know the history. He doesn't understand the history. He doesn't understand the thesis. He doesn't understand this deep rooted ancestral desire to make this happen. That this is not going to be stopped. Now, you could also have an argument about how could Elon Musk have done this? How could Donald Trump have done this? How could they have taken the thesis? What are the moral and ethical problems with this? You run off with my thesis, you don't call, you don't write. But when I had originally given the concept to everybody, it was given to thousands of people, including the entire Knesset. I said, this is my gift. I want to give it as a gift. Take this, with other ideas. And I made sure to publish early so I would get credit.
Yeah. Yes.
But you know what they did for me is that somebody in the middle of all of this had me registered at the United Nations, and somebody got me published in UCLA as well. So I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Like some of us, tosses and turns all night. How do I make it even better all night? It's the ones that don't toss and turn. They're the ones that will never take you to the promised land, won't they? But you have done some job. True. But critics doubted that it was possible what you've done. But over the past 8 years, Saudi Arabia has proved the critics totally wrong. The transformation that has occurred even by these incredible business leaders. I mean, you had the biggest leaders in business anywhere in the world standing right before us. But the transformation that has occurred under the leadership of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed has been truly extraordinary. Such a thing has, I don't think, ever happened before. I've never seen anything at that scale happen before. And I guess, maybe you could say the United States is doing pretty well too, but I don't think too many people have seen that happen before. Majestic skyscrapers, the towers that I see, the difference between now and 8 years ago. And 8 years ago was very impressive, but the towers that I see rising, some of the exhibits that I was shown by Mohammed, what I've seen there is just an amazing, it's amazing process, amazing genius of so many people, architecture, but I have a feeling I know where many of those ideas came from. Happens to be sitting right in this room right before me, but the towers and all of the different, I've seen a lot of different towers. I didn't think there's any version of a tower that I haven't seen in one form or another. Well, I just passed 4 exhibits. I have never seen anything like any of them. So it's going to be very exciting. And they sit.
So
Yeah.
the point is that they're going to do it their way. They're not going to do it. It's not going to be, because I know they had a fight, because afterwards Trump said, but I want to call them freedom zones. It was very obvious that no, we're going to do it our way. It's going to be
Yeah.
Bedouin, and we're going to stick to this idea of Oasis and our indigenous people were tolerant before all of this extremism. So it means something very different to the people he's speaking to.
Right.
Yes, it's for profit, but it's also a pride in their heritage and pride in returning back to them before all this crazy and war with the colonialist and war with Europe and Lawrence of Arabia and all that crazy shit that happened. This is about how can we modernize these ancient concepts of what it is to be a Bedouin, of tolerance, respect, art, music, and creating safe zones of commerce. And that is ultimately the only thing that matters to these people. And if you get that, you get the future of Gaza and why an autocratic, why they're going in as part of the Abraham Accords.
Capital of the entire world. The World Cup is here. Johnny, just stand up, Johnny. Johnny. Thank you, Johnny.
So, basically he was told no. Trump was told no about the Trump Tower. That's what happened.
Tribute to you and economic development properly used. In other cities throughout the peninsula, places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Doha, Muscat, the transformations have been unbelievably.
Anyway, that's where we're headed. How do I feel about it? I feel like since I told them they could have it and do what they wanted with it, excuse me, then I can't really bitch because it was after October 7th. I think that they did need an anthropologist to come in and just say, here is. I think what was shocking for a lot of people is here was this person working independently out of Portland, Oregon, and they were floating around with the same concept of an oasis, a zone, an Abraham Accords. How do we bring it all together? And then this person comes in and says, here's a blueprint for Gaza based on anthropological studies. And because other people were floating in the same perimeter, it was like, okay, now we got a blueprint. So that's why I wish they would have given me clearance and I could have been closer to the development. I think that that's my one thing that I'm sad about, rather than seeing these beautiful ideas coming about and not being able to be a part of it.
Right. Well, didn't you say even just the fact that you're a woman, you didn't feel you were being taken seriously?
Well, they definitely took me seriously, and
they did. Okay.
Respect to Elon Musk, I will because he did not discriminate against me because of my gender. I mean, he and Netanyahu looked at the concepts of the Oasis, liked it, and said, "This is exactly what we need to do. We need to develop these concepts." And they didn't look at gender or anything like that. They just looked at
I'm glad to hear that.
it objectively. But the problem is that I wasn't with a company that worked for the IDF or the Saudis, and I was coming in independently, and I wasn't following protocol. I was just handing it to the spokesman of the IDF.
Yeah.
I am an Israeli citizen, so I think that got me a little bit through the front door.
Well, you still put the energy out there, and I do believe the karma is going to come back to you one way or the other.
I'm excited that I can tell you guys what's coming. It's exciting for me and satisfying for me to be able to just use this platform to say, hey, everybody, here's what's going to be happening. This is why they're meeting in Egypt.
We're proud of you, Whimsy. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But
as I was watching Trump, do you think he was reading from a teleprompter or he was just rambling off the top of his head? That's what it looked like to me, like one of his typical word salads.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Oasis Sinai is right over here, and this is the Rafah Gate. And so this area, it just had the peace agreement signed in Egypt. Egypt's going to make a lot of money from this. So kudos to Egypt. But if you're going to sell an idea like this, you have to be able to sell it to people in a way where they have to see that it's going to be profitable to them. And when you have the entire Arab world pressuring you, the way the entire Arab world has been pressuring El-Sisi, then it's understandable to see, Yeah, to see why he eventually El-Sisi had to say yes and will say yes to opening up another zone. There's something I wanted to show you guys, but
What
anyway,
was
that's what's going on. Oh, just letters that were sent to El-Sisi about, I think I've shown him in the past, potentials for profits to be made off the rebuild of Gaza. If he gets involved and opens up a door to allow to rent space, then it's very likely that he'll make a lot of money off the deal. But the other, so as will the rest of the Arab world, and so they're all pressuring El-Sisi, do it, do it, do it, do it, and you know how that goes, right? If your friends are saying do it, chug, chug that beer, right?
You make it sound like a frat party.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that it's kind of cool that the meeting took place in Egypt with El-Sisi, and it gives El-Sisi, the president of Egypt, an opportunity to look like he is God's gift to the world. You know, like I did this.
Yeah.
I opened through my compassion and my goodness. I opened the door and allowed this to happen.
The way Trump would like to be seen. Hey, he wants his Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, so the next thing that's going on is we're talking about Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Here's another thing to be worried about.
Oh my
They're
God.
power and they're facing an imminent meltdown. What's your feeling about that? You want to throw some cards on?
Yeah, this is something I honestly was not familiar with in the news. That's horrifying.
Let's take a look.
Okay, well, now what are we asking specifically, Whimsy?
Is there going to be a nuclear meltdown at Zaporizhia?
Ooh. Is there going to be a nuclear meltdown? I'm going on a limb, but I'm getting a no. What are you getting?
I hope it's a no right now.
I hope it's right. You know, based on
sun is
right
nuclear. Sun's energy or solar. This is like a nuclear.
Yeah.
People are told to evacuate. So there gets to be a point where people are going to be asked that they have to evacuate.
Yeah. Well, Whimsy, if you know, because I'd only started on cards, I don't want to interrupt you, but the only thing I did get was community, the people, suffering, and survival. So there's certainly a lot of fear around that. I only wanted to say that early because I think that ties in with what you just said about the possibility of having to evacuate. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah. So experts have to go in. So it means that it looks like this. All personnel must evacuate now.
Yeah.
If you are working there, we need you out of the building. And the only people that are going in are the experts that know how to deal with this disaster, because the hermit is coming in and the people are fleeing. So I believe that the experts are coming in and it's no longer a functioning nuclear power plant and the people are told to evacuate.
That makes a lot of sense.
A refusal, Russia is refusing to assist or help. There could be some stubbornness there. And then the final outcome is Six of Pentacles. Eventually, Russia will have to allow experts to come in and deal with it. Yeah. So that's probably why ultimately it's not going to be disaster, but we will likely see evacuation orders.
Yeah, because I think that's what I was getting here too. The evacuation, people fearing their survival, a lot of fear right now. But I got a strong no when I took it to a yes or no in the pendulum that somehow it is going to be taken care of, diffused, whatever. There won't be a meltdown, but it's going to be frightening.
Isn't his medical checkup
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, but let's go ahead and see how he does. Like the cards told me that he was going to be found to have lost his mind.
Well, you know what I find. I was just going to say offhand what I find very, very interesting. Usually, a president has a physical once a year. He just had his physical in April, and now they're checking him out again. And didn't they also check him in July? And that's in July, wasn't that when they diagnosed the chronic venous
Yeah, as
issue?
we age faster.
Yeah. So
Every year, our aging increases, and so
it's very
it doesn't surprise
clear
me he's being checked every quarter.
he's being checked a lot more frequently. And I had told you several weeks ago, I think I've said this several times, I keep getting in my readings that this is being done to pave the way. Like he's gradually introducing it to the public. His health is failing, he's breaking down, paving the way for the end of this year when he can resign.
Another
for
way of
health
looking at
reasons.
it is if does his cabinet have a right to see those medical records,
I would certainly think they would have the right.
and why? Why would they
Oh,
have the right?
well, I'm thinking right offhand, the 25th Amendment.
There you go.
Is he
So they have
competent?
a right to demand the facts because they have to do their job and determine whether or not this man can serve. And their number one priority is the Constitution and the American people. And that means they must take their responsibilities as members of the cabinet seriously. They must demand those medical records. And if the medical records show that this president cannot govern because of an existing condition like white matter on the brain showing amyloid plaques, then he cannot serve. And it becomes the duty and obligation of the cabinet to pull him out of there. And that's what it looks like.
Well, and also if he does not accept, the honor or resignation, I was reading today that in itself could be in grounds for a third impeachment. Only this time it would be because of his cognitive abilities.
Lunacy. It always
Lunacy.
comes up. The
Yeah.
moon. Oh, so there it goes back to who is his cabinet. So his cabinet gets together and they decide that they are going to just do what is right for the American people. They're going to put emotion aside. They're going to look at the medical records. They're going to say, all right, we're going to bring the medical experts in. We're going to have a closed meeting and we're going to ask you point blank as many questions as we can to explain to a layperson what these medical records show.
Yeah.
So you've got Marco Rubio there. You've got RFK Jr. You've got everybody. You've got Stephen Miller. They've got to make a serious freaking decision at that point. This puppy has left the building. This guy cannot serve. And at that point, you need to say, all right, what do we do? Is the burden on us to issue Article 25, in which case we have to have a conversation with the president. That's not going to be a fun president. Then he says, well, I'm going to do whatever, and you're not going to issue Article 25. At that point, what do? You start having private meetings with senators and saying, here is where the country is at right now. This guy cannot serve. We're sitting on medical records that show this man has dementia. We have a moral responsibility to pull him out of there with Article 25. And at that point, the Senate gets involved and says, if you do not resign and take this deal, Article 25, and resign, then the Senate will physically remove you.
Right.
And that's where we're headed.
And don't you feel like this has been in the planning stages for quite a while? That that Vance is going to be the next president. It's just I feel like these medical reports are just more for show to present to the public. To get people prepared for the inevitable, which we are saying around December.
Yeah, the experts calling and then the diagnosis. Look at this. The experts revealing that which is hidden. The high priestess. Look at this. Lunacy. Happens every time. This guy's going to be removed because of cognitive decline.
Oh yeah, and needs to be. He's such a danger.
Mr. President, the duty has fallen on me to inform you because nobody else would do the job, Mr. President. I couldn't get anybody in the Senate, and I don't know what you did to your committee, but the members of your cabinet have left the building. So, Mr. President, it's me, little Lindsay. It has fallen on me to inform you that we have reached
Miss Lindsay.
We have reached
visioning Lindsay with the little parasol.
that if you will not allow them to do their job, then the Senate will. We've reached a consensus in the Senate. Take the deal and resign.
I mean, for God's sake.
You won't lose money. You'll still be paid.
Yeah.
by the government if you agree to resign. That's where we're at.
For God's sake, this man has the nuclear codes. It's terrifying. He's such a danger.
They're going to do the right thing, much to the shock. Why are they doing the right thing? That's the question. Why are they doing? They're going to do the right thing. His cabinet is going to tell him that he has to go. But my question to you all is, why is his cabinet going to do the right thing?
Well, they've been wanting to get rid of Trump for quite a while.
Is that it? Or is it because they're because they want to be on somebody else's cabinet? So if there's a rift that's starting to develop between J.D. Vance and Trump, and this, in the words of the great Annie Lennox, this boat is sinking, this boat is sinking. What are the rats going to do when the boat sinks?
Flee. Jump
Flee
ship.
where?
To the next boat. To the next boat. To the J.D. Vance boat.
There
Yeah.
you go. So does everybody win if they send him off to Bedlam?
Enough people are going to win, or at least they're going to come out ahead. You know, they're going to salvage quite
Exactly. Does Peter Thiel win? Does J.D. Vance win?
Sasha concurs.
So it's only an issue of whether or not I will still have a job under the new administration. And anybody that J.D. Vance has a problem with, like Stephen Miller, who he has, I guess, an issue with.
I know you and I have read
Miller
on
is
this.
not going to have a job.
We've read on this in the past that JD is likely going to let a lot of people go. He'll keep just maybe a select few.
Yes, I totally 100% agree. Did you get that? Because that's what I got.
Yeah, but nonetheless, these people are going to be like, pick me, pick me, pick me. You know, they're going to be trying.
Why do you think that JD Vance does that and gets rid of those people? Because I have my theories.
Well, I mean, to put it very simplistically, I think JD Vance wants to be his own man. He wants to be set free.
True,
he wants to run the country as he sees fit instead of having to be Trump's puppet, which he probably is still going to be a puppet, but not nearly as much now, because right now he's like all the others that are just parroting everything Trump tells them to say.
So it benefits the cabinet if they don't think they're going to get a job with JD Vance and they don't want to lose their job. It benefits them to keep Trump in office, even when he's blabbering to himself and chewing on, his own toenails. At that point, they're not going to do anything because they don't want to lose their job. So there has to be some incentive that enough of them think that they're going to get a job with JD Vance. That's how I feel about it.
There has to be.
All right, let's talk about the Epstein files. Trump and others to flee the U.S. How are you feeling about this? I feel like, how long can you keep this from the American people?
Well, we've talked about this before. It's impossible. What are you going to do? Just indefinitely suspend Congress, send them on another vacation or something to keep them from voting? The Arizona Congresswoman, they won't even swear in because she would be a deciding vote in favor of the release of the Epstein files. They can't keep covering this up. And also, we've said that there are too many people in the world who have their own copies of this. They have their own information. I bet Elon Musk has been sitting on his own copy of this.
Oh, sure.
It has to come out. It has to. And, right now, Trump's just, this is a face-saving thing, a dignity to be able to resign because of his health, but it's going to come out.
Let's take a look.
Okay, what are we asking specifically?
Will the files be released, and what will be the response?
Will the Epstein files be released? Well, that's an easy yes. Easy yes. But the response, well, when I say released, it's going to come out one way or the other. I didn't ask for specifics here, but it's going to come out. But the response, whose response are we asking?
Trump's response.
Ooh, okay. I've got you. We clarified that. It's not good. That's why I'm glad we clarified that. Trump, well, I got cards like some of this is just obvious. I'm acknowledging it. Loss, discontent, suffering, shame. He's just exhausted. He's just worn out from all of this. And then, and the death card, I get this to mean more like the death to his presidency, his image, his facade, not necessarily his personal death, but just it's over. It's over. That's what I take
Yes,
from the
yes.
death card there. Okay.
Yeah, I
What do
agree.
you have?
I think that it's over. I think things happen very quickly, the Eight of Wands. I think that the chit chat, what I feel, the chit chat is that people in positions of power who are rich and powerful in DC, the people with the
Mhm.
money have said to themselves, he was never fit to serve. President Trump has never been fit to serve. He's always
God,
been a
no.
disaster. And the only reason that they let him go in there is because of the people that he was bringing with him. So people had faith in maybe Marco Rubio or that they wanted their policies to be upheld, but they never personally felt that Trump had what it took to be the president. Here it is again, lunacy. See, it
Mhm.
keeps coming for him. So that and the Seven of Cups. Seven Cups comes up a lot, and the Constitution wins. Hierophant is the Constitution.
Mm.
So it was a lot of reasons why I feel that Trump inevitably will have to resign. You know, they can send him on the golf course and have him make a few statements and put on the facade that we have a president.
Mhm.
But it's eventually going to get to a point where it can't just be 24 hours a day protecting the American people from the crimes of Donald Trump.
Sure. But as you said, it's just a big facade they're trying to maintain. And his people have just been trying to keep him distracted, like redecorating the Oval Office, building the ballroom on the White House, because he always has his first love was always real estate and development. So they're keeping him, it's like keeping a little kid entertained, like give the baby a pacifier or a rattle or something so they'll stay out of trouble. That's what it feels like.
What about the idea that GOP Congress, but also members of just people in positions of power are going to have their names released with the Epstein file? Trump is just one name.
Well, yeah, I read something when we were doing our Tuesday show and I was preparing for it. I read somewhere, because I go through the internet and look for stories, that there are a lot of very powerful names from people from all over the world in the Epstein files. So there's a lot of people who are very frightened, and I'm sure there are people in Congress, in the Senate, people who are very scared right now about this being released. I mean,
Mm.
that's still one. There are a lot of things that surprisingly are not taboo anymore, but pedophilia is still like like the ultimate taboo. It should be. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nitpick indictments against Trump enemies continuing. What do you think?
Well, sure. That's what we were even talking about at the beginning of the show. When we were mentioning Leticia James and Comey. It's just these little things. Like I mentioned Adam Schiff, that apparently there's some sort of property he bought in Maryland. They're going to find something on that. With Leticia James, with the mortgage she took, to get a second home. They had to really dig to find anything they could use against these people. And it likely is going to continue, who else did I mention? Like Ms. Willis, the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney. They're looking for things on her right now.
This is sick.
Of course, it's sick. It's disgusting, and it's petty. As I was saying,
Or
it's just
power. Things, yeah, but things
Yeah.
change very interesting. Three of Cups, dancing in the streets. You know what? Our courts will hold. I don't think that if I were a
Yeah.
judge who spent my life working hard to be on the bench and to have that kind of power, I would not take kindly to being used to help some compromised president go after their enemies.
Yeah. Help a sociopath.
Yeah. Did you get anything in your cards on that?
I didn't
Florida?
pull cards because I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know we were going to pull for that. I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Okay. Well, I think yes. The answer is that we will. The power will be taken away from him.
Yeah. I didn't pull cards because I was just commenting on it, but I'm sorry about that. I dropped the ball there.
It's okay.
Okay. Chuck, that is what Trump is saying she wrote in her documents in several places. that this was not her primary home. Interesting. Yeah, because the claim is that's what she said when she applied for the mortgage. It was going to be a secondary home, and then I think it was supposed to be for her niece, if I'm not mistaken, and then it was rented out to some people. Now I don't know if it was her or the niece who did this, but apparently that the claim is that violates the terms of the mortgage. But it is just nitpicking.
Heritage Foundation dismantled by cutting off their funding. What do you think about the fact that churches, the money that people give to churches, is being used by lobbying groups to manipulate political agendas?
Oh, well, I keep thinking of separation of church and state right off the top there. It's wrong in every possible way. But though when I see that the Heritage Foundation being dismantled by cutting off their funding and the hearts, I think that would be fabulous. That could happen. But what are we reading for? No, Whimsy?
Will the Heritage Foundation be dismantled? And will we be able to cut their funding?
Ooh. I like what I got here. But I'm going to ask it also, will the Heritage Foundation have their funding cut off? I'm kind of getting between a maybe and a yes there. But when I did cards, I got that they're fighting for their survival, definitely deprivation, and ultimately death. That's why I said I like this. I like
so interesting. Because there's a secret going on in the Heritage Foundation, the Heritage and the family legacy. But we have this exposure happening very, very quickly. What's interesting, this is the exposure, by the way, the hidden being revealed. Look at this. It's like a raid. It's like the feds come in and raid them. So something is going to happen where they're going to be taken over because they broke laws with what they did.
Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's one time I was happy to see that card.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of the time people think death is physical death, but it can be a major transformation.
It can have many readings. It can be a positive card, actually.
Right. That's important to note because, but it has to do with the context and because we were asking about a job, so a changing job.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. Well, Trump. I know that's not appropriate to laugh at that, but will Trump stroke out if he doesn't win the Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I want to win the Nobel Peace Prize for
yes, and you deserve it, Whimsy. You deserve it. Well, I know Trump will certainly have a hissy fit if he doesn't. But I was seeing today because I think tomorrow they're actually announcing the Nobel Prize winner. I saw there was something like 338 people under consideration. But they said that it's too late. It's too early for Trump to be in consideration.
Oh, it looks like
it would have to be
Jane Goodall. They don't. Jane
Goodall. That's great.
She was going to get it, but they have a thing about posthumous if they've passed, so she will be mentioned. So it could have been that she was one of the contenders, but then she died, so she's no longer eligible.
I didn't realize they had a law about it being posthumously given.
Well, when you think about the DNA being discovered, the double helix, one of the main researchers.
What a choice she would have been.
She died, so she was not able to get credit.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. But
there will be a post. There will be a post humus mention of Jane Goodall. I can tell you.
At least a
Jane
mention.
Goodall's my Queen of Wands.
Yeah.
You know why she comes as the Queen of Wands? Because she fights for territory.
Yeah.
The chimps are losing their territory. It was interesting. She was asked, do the chimpanzees know they're losing territory? Because they can hear the equipment like this as they encroach on the forest and their populations are dwindling. And she said, yes, they sense something is wrong, that it's not all peace in the forest. But so she actually comes as the Queen of Wands. She was fighting to maintain peaceful places for them. Yeah. But this also came up, which was the Two of Cups. And I see a possible woman. And that's weird. That's Jane Goodall's card. So if
Mhm.
they picked it prior to her death, would they still honor giving it to her?
That's a good question. That's a good question. But they said that Trump, even if he is under consideration for this, the earliest would be next year. It would not be announced tomorrow. It's too.
Look, if he pulls off Oasis 1 with MBS Muhammad, who's Ben Salman, who the prince, who is also building Oasis in Saudi, and they're also wanting to do the same idea in United Arab Emirates. Dubai is like an oasis zone. Live and let live. Vive la différence. It's based on this oasis principle, right? Just because I'm a devout Muslim doesn't mean you have to be. That's the whole oasis, vive la différence. So they're trying to create oasis zones because this is their heritage. It's their heritage to have this. So, yeah, I think that if he and MBS and everybody else work to create it, and if it succeeds, then yeah, sure, give him the Nobel Peace Prize. Why not? If he does it, right?
Yeah. What you were saying about the chimps and her research, goes back to what you were talking about Tuesday and today about plants, their medicinal qualities, the energy that plants give off. She, in her research, found that chimpanzees were naturally drawn to medicinal herbs and plants.
That's right.
And the chimps knew how to treat each other. I just wanted to throw that out because
Yeah.
it ties in with your own work.
They would get stomach bugs and infections, and they would see that a chimp was sick, and the chimp would be drinking water, and then they would go to some tall grasses, and they would pull the grass apart and start chewing on it. And then they took the samples back to the lab, like in Harvard and whatnot, and analyzed and found that it contained alkaloids that treated upset stomachs, nausea, etc.
Yeah, it's something.
So yeah, that was some of the first studies of ethnobotany, but also animals engaging in botanical medicine. Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, this is a good question from Joel Tilson. Will Congress insist on an unbiased mental evaluation of Trump?
Well, that I think is happening now, and that is him going in, and I think that is
Really?
we keep seeing this energy between him and his cabinet.
Mhm.
And I know, when I put myself in the shoes of being his cabinet, I'd better take this seriously. These are the decisions that I have to make as a member of his cabinet. And if the judges are coming up with real evidence that this guy has to go, then that means I'm going to lose my job. So I am voting myself out of job. And it's hard to get someone to vote themselves out of job unless you are with the Vance team and you can sweeten the deal by, well, you've always wanted to be the ambassador of France, like,
Yeah.
feel a bit here, and then we can move this party along. And I think that we're going to start seeing some sweetheart deals for anybody that agrees to turn on this president. I truly do.
Yeah, I even wonder if Vance and his so-called people are already dangling this over people's heads as incentives, because it's probably an inside secret. He's going to be president soon. They know this.
Yeah. I think everybody senses that this guy cannot finish. He certainly couldn't run for a second term.
Yeah. Is Trump getting injections to fight Alzheimer's? Whimsy, as a physician, what is your opinion on that?
Not usually. I mean, the pill he was taking was a blood pressure and diuretic.
Yeah,
it was analyzed. I sent a picture to Grok, and Grok zoomed in, and 6-dimensional has been positively identified as hydrochlorothiazide lisinopril mix, 10 milligram, 10 point. So he was taking a pill most likely for his cankles, a diuretic, and something to get his blood pressure down, which is commonly prescribed in people who have edema with congestive heart failure.
Yeah.
So we know what the medication was. That it was not taking a sex drug. People thought he was taking Viagra in the middle of the game. Yeah, I'm going to get a stiffy on in the middle of the game.
I wouldn't put that beyond Trump.
He's just taking blood pressure. But the fact that are people surprised that an 80-year-old man is having to take heart medication, blood pressure medication? I mean, come on, he's 80 years old. We would expect it. If it was you or I, it would be normal for us at that age to be taking these types of medications. I've never heard. I don't know enough about this. Is this a new thing? Injections for Alzheimer's? My
That's why I
understanding is
wanted
that
to ask you, because
Aricept
I've
is a
never heard of it.
pill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we just? Is this ahead of our time? Like Aricept, right? It's all pills.
Yeah. I didn't know if
Usually
you'd heard
not.
anything about
If
injections.
he's taking a port, people think it may be due to something to do with Lasix.
Yeah.
You know,
Diuretics.
yeah. But I'm thinking with a port, maybe Lasix. You thinking, or something going on with his kidneys? I'm thinking. I don't
Something,
know.
you know, because that has been bandied about, possible kidney failure for him. You know, and of course, you know, and I was reading, you know, about his his so-called checkup tomorrow, and his doctors are still sticking to that story about, oh, he's just taking therapeutic aspirin and shaking a lot of hands, and that's why his hands are bruised. You know, all that nonsense.
That's really silly.
Of course it is. Yeah.
What are
Okay.
you thinking about the Russia? You know, I think we've already covered this. That
Yeah.
when you look at the amount of money that's being made from the Oasis, this is what people need to understand. It's all this is. Remember when we started this show? We talked about the fact that nothing is more important than trade to these people. That it's all
Yeah.
about
Trade
trade routes.
routes. Yeah.
So because it's all about trade, it's all about the trade. It's all about trade routes. It's all, you know,
Money.
nothing exactly. So if they know that everybody's on board for this idea of building oasis zones, if they know that this is the future and they know that they're going to be making all this money from building these massive trade routes that are going to be from here to Dubai to to Gaza. The entire Middle East will know no more war. Instead, they're going to adopt this ancient Middle Eastern way of resolving conflict, which is what they've always been doing, which is building oasis zones. Here's a paper on the Global Oasis Alliance. This is one of the things that I sent to Prince Mohammed before his meeting with Trump, and also to Egypt and all Arab leadership, so that they could be able to get a grasp of just how much money goes into peace and how much money goes into creating oasis zones throughout the entire Abraham Accords, Arabian Abraham Accords countries. This is the Global Oasis Alliance, which is what I was pushing for before you saw the film footage of Trump with El Sisi. This this was the copy that I sent them. So we're talking about 250 to 350 billion in trade annually. We're talking about them being able to engage in cultural unity, drawing inspiration from the Bedouin as exemplars of humanity, funded collaboratively by the United Nations, Abraham Accords, AA partners, private donations, contributions, celebrities.
Yeah.
People who've been approached: Sir Richard Branson, Bill and Melinda Gates, Mackenzie Scott, Jeff Bezos, individual Israeli and Palestinian. So, and then you have the data about. Here is the data on where we're headed. The point is this: economic incentives for peace.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that when you are handing these world leaders these kind of numbers, and you're offering this kind of money to their country, they're going to get really excited. They're going to get really excited, and they're going to get rid of anything that blocks this from happening.
Yeah.
You know, and this is just data. Infrastructure for Peace develops a high-speed transport network, can travel at 100 miles per hour, and AI hubs for vetting security, 20 to 30 billion with seismic sensors. It will connect Gaza, Israel, the AA nations, Egypt, Jordan, and the EU. Bet 10,000 Bedouin mediators, climate resilience initiatives, ensures regional transport safety, promotes worldwide sustainability, uniting we are the world and we are all Bedouin.
Almost like a showplace for the whole world, you know?
Yeah.
And actually gives billionaires a chance to do some good.
Yeah. This is what this is what Mohammed bin Salman likes. We are the world. We are the Bedouin, you know? Yeah. So think in terms of money, and you'll usually be right.
And he talks. Will there be a lasting peace in the Middle East after all the negotiations are reached and phase one hostage released? Fish orange wide eyes, fish orange wide eyes, fish orange wide eyes.
Oh, she sent a picture of a fish with wide eyes.
Okay, I didn't know what that meant there.
What's your
Will there be
feeling
a
based on the cards so far?
based on the cards so far?
Are we seeing lasting peace in Gaza? Let's throw the cards.
Let's see.
Excuse me. I think this will be our last question for the day because we've been here over an hour and a half.
Have we? Time goes
Yeah, and I have
fast.
a client.
God,
I have another client.
I got a nice card. I just got a really nice card.
Okay, let's see what you got for the future of Gaza.
You see me react because I never know what's going to fall out of the deck. But, I think, well, first of all, the obvious. People are just tired of all of this. Exhaustion. It's gone on too long. All of this fighting's for survival. There's going to be a lot of an invention affecting the community that is going to lead to victory and new beginnings. I feel really good about this card. This was the last one, New Beginnings. It feels very positive. I don't know if we can say how long this is going to last, but I think, it's going to be in place for quite a while.
How do you get to peace? You make people investors. If you have a financial incentive to have peace, you will have peace. Some people will leave the Abraham Accords. I don't think Qatar is ready. I don't. I think after funding Hamas and all them and Qatar and Iran do not need to be a part of this. So you have people also leaving. You have part of it not being people that don't want to be a part of this. We don't want to join with Israel. We hate the Israelis, right? So you're not going to have. I think that we will get agreement with Saudi Arabia. I think we will get United Arab Emirates. I think we will get Jordan and Egypt. I just can't guarantee with this kind of juxtaposition here of the 8 of Cups and the 5 of Cups that everybody is initially going to be excited about this. And then the clarification.
You're not going to please everyone.
Yeah, Ace of Cups, excellent with Knight of Cups. Those are great cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels
good.
The
transformation of the situation. Eventually,
it feels really good.
Yeah, eventually everybody will come on board. Look at that. This is the emissaries of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New beginnings.
Cool.
New beginnings. Yeah.
Wow. Did you have fun today, my love? Did you have a good time?
I had fun. I always have fun with you and everyone here. You and I get to have two friends that get to have a visit twice a week, and we do it in front of several thousand people.
Yeah.
I'll get to be part of it. Yeah.
So if anyone is trying to reach you for a reading, how do they reach you?
Well, it is, I don't see my name there, but anyway, it's just my name, reverse, Dransfield Chuck at gmail.com. You can always just shoot me a email. I love hearing from you. I love doing readings for you. I love doing artwork for you. I love doing portraits where I can get messages that I channel from the subject. I've done that several times quite successfully. I even did it for a lady's cat a month ago. Had a message for her.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
It's my great joy. And of course, I have my own channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. Do a little live stream on Mondays called Chuck's Captivating Chat, where you just talk a lot of entertainment, old Hollywood stories. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, Daniel, I will make you a moderator. I just have to figure out how to do that. Okay. Daniel's going to be our new moderator, so welcome to Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Where did Daniel go? I've got to find it because I've got too many streams open right now. Geocosmic Valentine acts.
And by the way, thank you, Geocosmic Valentine, for posting my Gmail on there. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah. All right. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can check out all my information below and book me through Booksy if you need to see me as a naturopathic doctor, or if you need me for a reading or anything else. I think that does it for us. We've been here an awful long time. Okay, we're out of here.
It's gone by fast.
Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we will see you next time, everyone.
See you next time.
Thank you. Don't forget to like
See
and
you next
subscribe to the
Tuesday.
stream. Yeah.
We
Bye.
really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.